All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to Straight Talk, and I want to give a little bit more clarity. The last time I was here, I was talking about, well, black people weren't slaves in America. We were prisoners of war, and that slave word comes from Slavic Indo-European. That's true. But you got to be able to understand, and also I said that black people took more white people into slavery than white people did. That's true. But the clarity part comes from knowing not only that we're not slaves or were slaves, because that's a Slavic Indo-European word, and that we were not we were prisoners of war, but also uh, the reason behind it, the reason behind the hate that white people have for us. It is a deeply rooted hate. And that hate goes all the way back to Egypt when these white folks or these clear people took over and ruled it for 150 years. They did the same thing in Greece and Rome, and now they have come to the full fruition, the fulfillment of that. Now, a lot of people say, well, it's 400 years. Not 400 years of slavery, I can say without a fact, without a doubt, rather, that 400 years started in 1619. Really before that, in 1492, but the first group of so-called indentured service and or prisoners of war landed in Virginia in 1619. Now, if you move, hey, Brother Will, I really appreciate you being here, and for everybody else that may come, man, it's gonna be one tonight, bro. Please hold on. So, so when you're looking at the fact that those groups of people who were here in Virginia hold on, a lot of noise, came from West Africa. Now, I've gone through this, and I've done countless videos describing this event. It was a black on black crime. It was a Christian war against the Jews. The Christians wanted the Jews to give up all of their wealth, and they forced them out of the Middle East, Portugal, and Spain, and transported them to West Africa. Now, before that, because I'm not going to really get into that, but if you really want to get the full gist of what I'm talking about, please check out my book, The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit. It's damn near 1,000 pages. I go into why white people hate black people so much. And the reason being why we treated them so bad, because look at what they're doing now. They did the same shit. Maybe it wasn't on the same scale, but the scale is still the same. Not understanding what the fuck they doing, going beyond the norm of evil. And so the Pharaoh, the queen of Egypt, said it plainly. If you bring your I'm adding to it. But she basically said, don't come back after kicking them out, or your head will roll. The same thing happened in Greece and Rome. And now look at this shit now. So you can see how perturbed, disturbed, and fucked up these people were to our ancestors. There's plenty of evidence of these European wannabes, but they really weren't European. We are the true Europeans and the true everything. hold on. So I should have got this up before, but please excuse me. But there are, what do they call those things? Hold on. Okay. There are tapestries of the pale skinned people we call white with long nails, fur all over their body, trying to attack. Hold on. Trying to attack our kings and queens in their castles. Now, we should know that the castles of Europe were all built by black people. We should know that. The people we call white just started speaking 1,000 years ago. They don't have a history, they don't have a culture, they don't have a language. They get everything from us. Period. Uh, so let me look this up. Hold on. I forget the name that they attacking. Black castle. The troglodyte. I don't know if it's gonna come up like that. I keep forgetting the name. I'm trying to remember what that was. But if I do think about it, hold on. Make sure that I don't. But these people are not human. White people as we know them today are troglodytes, are what our ancestors called um, not worth a damn, so to speak. And they have no idea about their involvement in nothing. They've been fed a bunch of lies that go beyond the norm and has crippled them to the point where they can't function. They can't think. My boy Amazing Lucas calls them ignorance. It's worse than that. Hold on, hold on. Let me see if I can bring this up. Um, but these people don't have too much of anything that is worth the while. Now, this is one of them. They don't have God. We create every God. The DIA of Tranquilo. They don't have a God. They don't know they don't know the concept of God is. Everything that they got from us. And when they talk about ancestors, here it is. Ooga booga. These people don't know shit. Don't have no concept of anything worth the while. Hold on, let me see. While I'm speaking, I'm trying to come up with no Kayate. I'm trying to come up with this. But you will see it in my book. I'm just drawing a blank. But these people had hair all over their bodies, claws. You understand? This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is not uh, you know a make believe thing that I'm trying to think about. And we find that a lot of people. I don't want to say a lot, but whatever percentage is well over 50%. Black scholars will come along and debate me about this bullshit that has no debating factor to it. I don't debate. I speak facts. In fact, you can't argue. Um, and I'm still trying to think of the name of these people that we called them that we went by. But if you've seen my show, you know it. And these people are the worst of the worst. And the reason being that we enslaved them is because they weren't worth a damn. They were always causing problems. You're going to see that tonight with the video called Men. These people have not changed since the days of Egypt, since the days of Greece and Rome, and now. We civilized these people 3 times. That's not a joke. That's not a fantasy. That's not some made up shit I'm making up. They're uncivilizable. Period. The world has gotten to the point now where they're just sick and tired of being sick and tired for white folk bullshit, for white boys, white girls bullshit. Because they're bullshit. They're playing the Wizard of Oz game, and all we gotta do is just pull back the curtain and see this little bitch of a boy and girl there. You don't think that the Japanese want to have revenge? Oh, fuck yeah, they do. They ain't forgotten that shit. Nagasaki and Hiroshima, motherfucker. Do you think the Chinese forgot how they destroyed their community, their families, men, women, children during the Opium Wars and long before that, before the Opium Wars? This is how white folks made their wealth from drug dealing. And then when they got back home to America, they opened schools, universities, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all this, and giving money, museums, art galleries, making themselves out to be the great egalitarians or something. I don't know. They're not. They are the absolute positive worst boy or girl on the planet. Hands down. We don't need to think about that. We don't need to discuss or talk about that. It is and has been proven. And in the Man video, you're going to see this. So tonight, like I said, I wanted to give more clarity as to the American Revolution, what that meant, and the worthiness of these people. Hell, even Benjamin Franklin said, se siéntate para allá, no mueva. Aaron Jacob, siéntate para allá, no mueva. So, even Benjamin Franklin said, the Irish, the British, the Swedes, the Danes, you name it, they were all swarthy complected. And he didn't want them in America, but it was only for so-called pale-skinned Americans like him. And so when we look at history, look at it completely, wholly. If it rubs up against you in a questionable way, it's because you got questions. There are a lot of people who are waking up to the reality of these motherfuckers, especially black people. Billy Graham said, the black man and woman, hell, in America and the world, you guys are the real Jews. Now, how can you not pay that attention? You got a white boy telling you who you are, and you don't know who you are. You don't know shit about your history. And so tonight, I wanted to run through 2 of these videos, and one that I found that gave more clarity to Haiti. I didn't know it. I want to admit to you, I didn't know this shit. But history is exposing the truth. Time is exposing the truth. And I can tell you right now, I will never, ever not hold or grab the hands of our ancestors who are trying to reach out to us. Because I truly want to be blessed by the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of our past. Because when you know the past, you can understand the present and predict the future. It's real simple. And why, excuse me, why these people we call white are so up. You know what? Cállate. Aaron Jacob. Cállense. Siéntate ahí y no mueva más. So we got to study, you guys. We got to be able to answer the questions that our young people from kindergarten on up need to know. We should be sick and tired, being sick and tired of depending on white folks to educate us. They're not going to do it. They're going to miseducate us. And you know whose fault that is? Your motherfucking fault. For the parents who don't know shit. Dumb motherfuckers. Because you're always trying to pass off the responsibility. The responsibility is on us. And so, hold on, let me get to the share screen. And we'll get it rolling. Now, the first video deals with the supposed movie idea. And so, when I saw this, and you guys see it tonight, make parallel comparison and accept it for what it is. It is sometimes they hide the truth under layers of other shit, like a parable. Jesus walking on water. You know, goddamn well nobody can walk on water unless the water is frozen. But there's a meaning behind that, and you need to be able to understand that. All right. And I was talking to my wife and her friends who were here. I was letting them know Jesus is the light of the world. Hell, the light of the world is the sun. Metaphor. Jesus is the breath of life. Hell, the breath of life is oxygen. Oxygen. So don't get it twisted. So let's go to the first one, and it's really short, and I'll be right back.
Where are we supposed to go? Back to where you began. The Caucasus Mountains. Build something better there.
Hey, this there right here. This there right here. I swear. This there. Like, T-shirt.
I don't want to go to the Caucasus Mountains. I want to stay here.
You are ordered to evacuate peacefully. The mountains await your rebuilding. This is a troglodyte we're dealing with.
They said we gotta leave tonight. They're taking us to the mountains. Tell them we're family. They said we gotta leave tonight. They're taking us to the mountains. Tell them we're family. I don't want to know the Caucasus Mountains.
Ain't none of my family, bitch.
All Caucasoid partners report to processing.
She's my family. You can't decide who I love. Move them now. You leave tonight to the Caucasus.
Every American citizen of European descent will be relocated. They can't really do this, can they?
For the sake of this nation, they will go. And they will endure.
They're sending us to freeze.
And we don't freeze. We survive.
We never met no. Then you should have said something when Thomas done.
Yeah, you should have said something. Not only said something, did something. Like kill these
Where we
motherfuckers.
supposed to go? Back to the Caucasus Mountain. That was an epic right there, right? I swear. This movie should be real. But I love to see this movie right here. Back to the Caucasus Mountain you go.
Where are we supposed to go? Back to where you began.
Hold on, not
The
yet.
Caucasus Mountains. Build something.
So let me expand on that, I guess. Every square mile of this earth belongs to the black man and woman. Period. This is our shit. This is our land. This is our earth. And this is our universe. The black man and woman we are the filtered down version of the black universe in human form. That's not a fantasy, that's some real shit. White folks were and still are in error of nature. They come from Brazilian albinos that made it with normal black people. We put them in where the Caucasus Mountains area, better known as Central Asia. And you know the script. I talked about this virtually in every video, so please go back and look at those. So we're going to go to the next video. It's about 3 minutes long. 3 minutes long. Or 3 minutes and a half. And hold on. And I will be right back. Now, you know, white folk weren't around 500,000 years ago. They just got here 3,000 years ago. Now, before we go on to the next video, and the more important video about our revolution that took place in 1776 and what that meant and who was there and who did what. They weren't white, black Europeans. But first, has anybody heard about the B1 Atlas flying saucers. I don't know what the fuck you want to call them. Or UAP. It's hard to believe that for me. All these black folks on this island ain't nobody seen shit. It seems like the only people seeing the shit is white folks and people who want to be white. I looked up into the sky all around, everywhere I go, and I don't see not a motherfucking thing called B1 Atlas. Now, just like we just seen on the video of man, you know, it might be. I don't know. You know, who knows? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But, you know, it's just going to be one. It's going to be one, baby. You know what I mean? But it ain't going to be coming after us. I hope not. But, yeah, that's just how crazy this shit is, because the only people talking about it are white folks. And they acting like the people on the supposed people on the on those ships, the mothership, are white folks coming to beat our ass. Bitch, please, they're gonna beat your ass. That's what the real deal is. So, and that's how it's gonna roll. So you know, you might come to this thing like look around like, God damn, these motherfucking troglodytes are at it again. No, we gotta get them out of here. And that's what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? If it's true, I don't know. Don't ask me shit, cause I'm just saying. But so let's go on to the next video now. Kayate. Jacob. So we all heard about Toussaint Louverture and this and that, and how they were able to finagle, I think like not a billion, but whatever it is, it was in the billions of dollars in today's money. And this is it's the foundation as to why Haiti is still struggling. To me, that was a mistake, because the white boy that got that money from Toussaint Louverture, he went to America and lived the rest of his life. I'm talking on the fucking thing. Cállate. Always rough having a kid. But the white boy went to America and established, I think it was Dartmouth or some major university, and lived out the rest of his life rich off of the money, millions of dollars that he got from Toussaint Louverture. So we're going to take a look and walk down the lane of history and hear about this brother called General Sam, I think, something like that. But you're here. Hold on. And the cover-up that America did in regard to what this brother was trying to do, and almost did it, uniting all of the Caribbean against America and the Monroe Doctrine. Now, you know the Monroe Doctrine states that no foreign ship can come into those waters. Fuck the Monroe Doctrine. That's that white wannabe European supremacy speaking loud and clear. So, this is 13 minutes, and we'll get into it's for the American Revolutionary War, which is an hour and 20 minutes, and we're going to take 15-minute bites out of it, all right? And I'll be right back.
1906, a black general commanded thousands of soldiers, held an entire nation's respect, and had the power to change the balance of the Western Hemisphere forever. The U.S. government watched him closely, not as an ally, but as their greatest nightmare. His name was erased from your textbooks. His story was buried. But what he almost did would have rewritten American history forever. This is the story they never wanted you to know. The year is 1865. The American Civil War has just ended, and for a brief, shining moment, it seems like freedom might actually mean something for black Americans. But that moment dies quickly. Reconstruction crumbles under the weight of white resentment. Jim Crow laws sweep across the South like a plague, stripping away rights that were barely granted in the first place. Black people who dared to vote are murdered. black communities that dared to prosper are burned to the ground. And the message becomes crystal clear. America will tolerate black bodies, but never black power. While this nightmare unfolds in the United States, something extraordinary is happening just across the water. Haiti stands as a burning rebuke to everything white supremacy claims to be true. This small Caribbean nation did the impossible. In 1804, enslaved Africans defeated the most powerful military in the world, Napoleon's France, and established the first black republic in history. They proved that black people could fight, could win, and could govern themselves. And for that unforgivable sin, Haiti has been punished ever since. France forced Haiti to pay 150 million francs as compensation for freeing themselves. Compensation for the loss of their own bodies as property.
They should have never
It's a
paid
debt
it.
so crushing that Haiti will spend the next century struggling to breathe under its weight. European powers refuse to trade with them. The United States refuses to recognize their independence for 60 years. The message is clear. Black sovereignty cannot be allowed to succeed, because if it does, the entire architecture of colonialism collapses. But Haiti refuses to die. And in the early 1900s, a man emerges who embodies everything that makes white supremacy tremble in the dark. His name is General Demosthene Petrus Sam, though history has tried desperately to forget it. He is brilliant, educated in military strategy, fluent in multiple languages, and possessing a tactical mind that rivals any general in Europe or America. He rises through Haiti's complex political landscape, not through brutality, but through competence. His soldiers don't just follow orders, they believe in him. And that belief is dangerous, because it spreads. By 1906, the general has done what seemed impossible. He's unified Haiti's fractured military factions. He's modernized training, improved discipline, and transformed a scattered force into a genuine army. But he's not content with just defending Haiti's borders. He understands something that keeps American presidents awake at night. Power isn't just about armies. It's about ideas. And the idea of a strong, independent black nation with a formidable military is more dangerous than any weapon. The general begins traveling, quietly at first. Jamaica, Cuba, the Dominican Republic. He meets with leaders, activists, intellectuals. He speaks about unity, about collective defense, about what could happen if every black and brown nation in the Caribbean stood together. He's not talking about rebellion for its own sake. He's talking about survival, because he knows what's coming. He can see the storm clouds gathering as American imperialism spreads across the hemisphere like an empire in everything but name. And in Washington, D.C., men in suits read intelligence reports with shaking hands. The cables coming back from Haiti describe something that contradicts everything they've been taught to believe. This general isn't a savage. He's not incompetent or emotional or any of the racist caricatures they've used to justify colonialism. He's methodical, strategic, charismatic. His soldiers are disciplined and loyal. His plans are sophisticated. And worst of all, he's succeeding. President Theodore Roosevelt, the same man who speaks about American exceptionalism and the civilizing mission, receives briefings that use words like threat and dangerous and destabilizing influence. But the real fear isn't written in official documents. It can't be. The real fear is this. What happens when black Americans look south and see this general commanding respect, leading armies, building coalitions? What happens when they realize that black military excellence isn't impossible? It's been systematically suppressed. The propaganda machine cranks into motion. American newspapers, fed stories by the State Department, begin painting the general as a tyrant, a warmonger, a threat to peace. They use every racist trope imaginable, while carefully avoiding any mention of his actual accomplishments. But in the private cables between diplomats and military commanders, a different story emerges. They admit his tactical brilliance. They acknowledge the genuine loyalty his soldiers show. They recognize that he's not the caricature they're selling to the public. And that makes him more dangerous than any enemy army. Because the general isn't just building a military, he's building a vision. He reaches out to W.E.B. Du Bois and the emerging Pan-African movement. He corresponds with intellectuals across the Caribbean and even in Europe. He's securing funding, negotiating for modern weapons, and planning something that would fundamentally alter the power dynamics of the Western Hemisphere. He wants to create a unified Caribbean military coalition, not for conquest, but for mutual defense against the colonial powers that have kept them divided and weak. The scope of his ambition is breathtaking. If he succeeds, American control of the Caribbean collapses overnight. The Monroe Doctrine, that arrogant declaration that the Western Hemisphere belongs to American influence, becomes meaningless. More than that, it proves that black and brown nations can organize, can challenge white supremacy, and can win. That cannot be allowed to happen. By 1915, the United
Now pay
States
attention
has
to the
seen enough.
complexion of these
Under
military
President
men.
Woodrow Wilson, a man who will scream birth of a nation in the White House and resegregate the federal government, American Marines invade Haiti. The official reasons are predictable. Instability, protecting American business interests, ensuring regional peace. But the invasion force is massive, far larger than needed for simple peacekeeping. Because this isn't about keeping peace. This is about crushing possibility. The general and his coalition network are hunted systematically. Some are killed in battle. Others are assassinated in circumstances that are never fully explained. The survivors are driven into exile, scattered across the Caribbean and South America. Their networks dismantled, their plans burned. The occupation force doesn't just control Haiti, it begins rewriting it. The Constitution is changed to allow foreign ownership of Haitian land for the first time since independence. The military is disbanded entirely. Any institution that could support future resistance is systematically destroyed. And the killing doesn't stop with military targets. The Kako Rebellion, a resistance movement of Haitian guerrillas who refuse to accept American occupation, fights desperately for their nation's sovereignty. American Marines, trained in the brutal tactics of the Philippine-American War, respond with overwhelming violence. Thousands of Haitians die. Villages suspected of supporting the resistance are razed. The death toll is staggering, but American newspapers barely cover it.
Pay attention.
And when they do, it's portrayed as necessary force against bandits and rebels. The general's name disappears from official records. His coalition plans are classified or destroyed. Within a generation, it's as if he never existed at all.
This pisses
Hold
me
on.
off. They strip table salt down to 2 minerals, call it healthy, and then wonder...
The occupation lasts 19 years, nearly 2 decades of American military control that strips Haiti of its sovereignty, its resources, and its dignity. When American forces finally withdraw in 1934, they leave behind a Haiti that has been fundamentally altered, economically devastated, politically fractured, and militarily neutered. And they take with them thousands of pages of documents that will remain classified for more than half a century. But here's what they couldn't bury forever. In the 1980s and 1990s, as Haiti's history is slowly declassified, researchers begin finding the truth in State Department archives and military intelligence files. The documents are stunning in their candor. U.S. military strategists describe the general as more dangerous than any foreign army because of his potential to inspire insurgency across the colored populations of the hemisphere. Intelligence reports confirm that his coalition plans were real, sophisticated, and came shockingly close to success. Multiple Caribbean leaders had tentatively agreed to join. European arms dealers had agreed to sell modern weapons. The framework for a unified military defense pact was nearly complete. The United States didn't invade Haiti because it was unstable. Haiti was unstable because the United States couldn't tolerate a stable, powerful black nation in its backyard. And this wasn't an isolated incident. This was the blueprint. Grenada, 1983. Panama, 1989. Countless covert operations to destabilize leaders who challenged American hegemony. The pattern is clear once you see it. Any black or brown leader who demonstrates competence, who builds coalitions, who threatens American control becomes a target. Not because they're dangerous to American security, but because they're dangerous to American supremacy. The general wasn't erased because he failed. He was erased because he almost succeeded. Because his story proves something that white supremacy cannot allow to be proven. That black military genius, black political sophistication, and black sovereignty have always existed. They've just been violently suppressed every single time they emerged. Think about what you were taught about Haiti in school, if you were taught anything at all. Probably something about poverty and instability, about corruption and natural disasters. But were you ever taught about the occupation, about the coalition that almost was, about the general who terrified an entire empire? Of course not, because history isn't just what happened. History is what they chose to let you remember, and they chose to make you forget that there were black leaders who built armies, forged alliances, and came within inches of reshaping the world. They chose to make you forget, because remembering would mean asking uncomfortable questions about every unstable black nation, every failed state, every leader who was toppled by popular uprising that somehow always seemed to have CIA fingerprints on it. This general's name deserves to be spoken again. His vision deserves to be understood, not because he was perfect, no leader is, but because he was possible, because he proved that black military excellence and political sophistication aren't aberrations to be explained away. They're the norm, violently suppressed because they threaten a power structure built on the lie of racial hierarchy. The next time someone tells you that Haiti can't govern itself, remember this story. Remember that they tried. Remember that they almost succeeded. And remember who made sure you'd never know their names. That's the real history. And now you know why they buried it.
All right, let me get back here. It should be crystal clear that we are at war with the children of. I don't even want to associate them but they are. But it's high time to let these motherfuckers go. They're not like us. Period. They're not going to ever be like us. Period. And so when you look at the wide perspective of history, we've been at war with these motherfuckers for I don't know how long. They're retired, man. We something got to crack, and that something is the United States of Africa, Afro Gold, AfriNet, and the fact that Africa, through its Navy, sank a military ship of the United Nations, told the United States of America, get the fuck out of the Indian Ocean. We controlling all that water. So a new day is coming, and a new day is here. And officially, on February 26, 2026, the actual government comes online. The United States of Africa is born on February the 26th, 2026, and you guys should be aware of all of the videos that I've done with Supreme African Breaking News, now Supreme African News, over the last, 3-4 months now? and now they're back online. I'm just allowing those uh, um, videos to accumulate. So when I get back to them, excuse me, they'll be up and running. I can really let it fly. And just to be honest with you, the new world order, you guys, my people, is black. We got to take it over. We must take it over, and we are taking it over. The global South is in effect, not just Africa, but all of the global South. I'm going to global South. I'm going to show you who's involved in all that. So this is the global South, right here, the Brent line, going all the way over Asia, and this. These are white. Europeans want to be European, but white country that we are at war with. This is not a joke, you guys. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. This is some real fucking shit. And we cannot fail because we're not going to fail because we won already. The white boy and all his arrogance and pride, because pride comes before the fall, went to sleep for about 100 years, and like the turtle and the hare, we crossed the finish line a long time ago. It's over, fam. It's over. We won. And the noose around the neck of these motherfucking worthless bitches and bastards is over. There's no more. Europe agreed to pay trillions of dollars in reparations. See, when you got a gun to your head, either your brain or your signature is going to be on that piece of paper. We're not playing. Priority is not playing. Black folk, black men, we're not playing no more. We're not trying to get along to go, I mean, fuck you. We don't try that. Now it's about us. We are delineating strongly, affirmatively, always and forever. And so now we're going to go to this for the American Revolution, trying to cover that because I really wanted to get into what really happened, and it wasn't white folks at all, okay? So let's get it started. We're going to take the first 21 minutes, so we can get it down to an hour, and then I'll step in after the first 22 minutes, and then we'll be down to an hour left, and then I'll give my closing comments. All right, let's go. Coming from my boy of Cornwall, Ohio. ¿Qué tipo de aparato? ¿Eh? ¿Qué tipo de aparato? Ah.
Can we just talk about that
Hold
film
on.
that we made in Teterboro actually last
Yeah,
night?
I mean, it was great.
Yeah,
I
people
loved it.
liked it.
I loved it. It was.
Oh, wow. Hey, much love and respect to everybody that's tuned in. Today we're going to do a little recap of what we've been learning regarding the original colonists and the original Europeans. What we have learned about their physical descriptions, who these people were, and the influence they had here in colonial America, and in the genealogy of many so-called African Americans. Before I begin today, I want to remind everybody, we're going to be reading from a great book, from a great author. I'm sure you guys know who that is, what book that is.
I did.
But before I read this book, which I had for a while now in PDF form, then I bought the physical copy, is that we have proven and shown the original primary sources that are
Hold
going
on.
to be quoted.
I just hooked up my, just in case you can't really hear it. Oh, okay, so it's there.
This book, so you guys don't have any doubts. You can go back to the previous presentations I have, my many videos on the Swarthy Europeans, the Huguenots, Swarthy Europe, its Aboriginal inhabitants, the Jacobites, the Sephardic Jews and crypto Jews, crypto Moors, the Muslims, the Pilgrims, the Puritans, the Protestants, who these people really were. So you guys can reference that. We're going to basically correlate all that today. It's going to come out of one book. So shout out to this author. We're going to get right into it today. And we're going to start reading from this book. A couple of pages. Of course, this is not the full book. But this is the book right here. A lot of you know this series, this author, these great books. We've read a couple of them already. A couple of the parts. I have many of the parts here. This is The Negro Question, Part 7, written by Lee Cummins. Shout out to Lee Cummins. All right, make sure you guys get the physical copy. It's available on Amazon, I believe. Or anyway, just go ahead and Google it, The Negro Question. You'll see the different parts. This one is Swarthy Memoirs of a Black American Revolution. All right, so remember, I've gone over muster rolls from Virginia, showing you 90% or more of the soldiers there were people of color coming from Europe and local people that were there. We have shown the muster rolls of the Jacobites and these ship manifests. We know a lot of these Scottish and Irish people were people of color that were coming, these so-called English, to fight these Hessians, these German Palatines, these French, even on the loyalist side, on the English side, also people of color. And we're going to get right into the book. Make sure to get the full copy. We're just going to get a couple screenshots of a couple of the pages. This is not the whole book, but I just wanted to read some of the good stuff in this book. This is the introduction. Great men and women who lived and fought during the American Revolution wrote their memories in a book or a diary. They are called memoirs in our generation. What are memoirs? Memoirs are an historical account or a biography written from personal knowledge or special sources. I have painstakingly read the memoirs of a few great men, Professor Boyd Dawkins, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, William Penn, Private Daniel Floor, Colonel Hugh Wynne, and others. These memoirs contradict the fictitious fiction or fake history created by academia and the History Channel. All right, fake history we've been exposing. And again, this author wrote this before a lot of my videos, before a lot of us was talking about Black Europeans. He was already showing us the sources. So much credit to him. And through my own personal research and journey, I was able to reach to the same conclusions and find the same primary sources without knowing that somebody had already made a great book like this
And so he deserves his shout out again. Continuing says, the memoirs of the men that I have listed above tell a story of 5 black armies that fought the American Revolution: black French troops, black German troops, black Polish troops, black Continental troops, and black officers. The memoirs in this book describe a black Haitian army that fought at Savannah, Georgia, and Yorktown. Yes, these are non-fiction, real memoirs that can be proven, right? What he's letting you know, these are primary sources you can go verify. We've shown many of these primary sources from the actual books they were written and the actual people who made them. I've shown you the exact copies they scanned of the original books. We've seen the first-hand accounts. These memoirs describe the black management of the American Revolution on both sides of the Atlantic. On the Continental side, there were black presidents of the Continental Congress before and during the American Revolution. All right, we're going to definitely get more in depth in that in future videos. The Continental Congress, we're going to go over it a little bit in this book today. A couple of references to some of these so-called presidents. On the British side, King George III was black, and so was the British Parliament. The British Prime Minister, Chief Magistrate, Justice, and Attorney General were black during the American Revolution. The research in this book is founded on the memoirs of people who were alive during and immediately after the American Revolution. Most of the memoirs that you are going to be exposed to are from people who shed blood for the American cause, and yet their memories are not permitted in the hallowed halls of academia. Why would academia do such a thing? Why don't they teach this as part of the curriculum correctly? Because these memoirs tell a story that has never been heard with the hearing of the ears, a story of the black military occupation of the 13 colonies. The black British, German, Hessian troops occupied New York 6 years, Charleston, South Carolina 2.5 years, Savannah, Georgia 4 years, and Boston 7 years. And yet, this information has been blotted out from real-world history. The image on the front cover of this book depicts the black British German army as they are destroying a statue of the German king, King George III of England. All right, that was the cover of the book. The image is authentic and validates the words of Benjamin Franklin, in which he said, "The Germans are swarthy black." All right, we got that reference so many times from Benjamin Franklin's own words, 1750s. Primary source, he said that. The British hired over 30,000 black German Hessian troops to put down the rebellion in the 13 British colonies. This is the reason why I charged academia, the History Channel, Hollywood, and their museums with fraud. All of these entities have one thing in common. They teach false memories. These government-sponsored entities can't prove the authenticity of the history books that they write or the artwork that they display in their museums. These false memories are tools that the elite use to create artificial intelligence or a hybrid man. If you have read any of my work, you already know what this is. This is indeed the next episode, alright? So I guess here we just have some examples of what some of the Europeans are described as in these anthropological books. This is from Professor Boyd Dawkins. It says here our earliest ancestors, pages 96 and 97. In the year 449 AD, certain Englishmen came from North Germany, south of the Baltic Sea, and pushed the Black Britons, Basque, into Wales, Welsh, Westmoreland, Devon, Scotland, Cumberland, and Cornwall. The Romans placed a wall, 122 AD, in Britain to keep the marauding white barbarians out of the country. This wall was called Hadrian's Wall. Professor Huxley
Now,
said,
didn't I ever talk about that? The Hadrian Wall, motherfucker? Come on, man. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And this is war to this very day, 11/25/2025. Mental, spiritual, economic, political, and physical. We're at war. They are constantly throwing at us and our babies that we ain't shit, that we have no history. We are history. Without us, there can be no. There wouldn't be no white folk. They come from us. Let's continue. And they spend hundreds of billions of dollars every year, false narrative that about white history. Oh, it's true. You. Oh, espérate. Hold on. Día tu mamá que sí, yo sé. Día tu mamá que próxima voy a darle de código de ejercicio que yo voy a usar para ti hoy. Y hazlo correctamente, la regla en amarillo ahí, oíste. Ok, te quiero. Yo. Oh, so let's go back.
The Iberian race, page 332.
Ahí
The
está.
Black Basque Iberian bones have been found all over Europe. James Anderson, Riddles of Prehistoric Times, pages 57 and 58. The Iberians, in ancient times, inhabited the western and southern parts of Europe. The Black Basque in Spain and France, the Dark Welshmen, the Scotch, the Black Celts to the west of the Shannon River in Ireland, as well as the same kind of men in Britain, and Aquitaine in France. That's here Genetics, Institute of Evolutionary Biology, Barcelona, Spain, published in the Nature Journal 2006. Author Dr. Charles Laluesa. He says genetic tests revealed that a hunter-gatherer who lived 7,000 years ago had the unusual combination of dark skin, dark hair, and blue eyes. Continued. 2 hunter-gatherer skeletons were discovered in a cave in the mountains of northwest Spain in 2006. The cold, dark conditions meant the remains called La Brana 1 and 2 were remarkably well preserved. Scientists were able to extract DNA from a tooth of one of the ancient men and sequence his genome. The team found that the early European was most closely genetically related to people in Sweden and Finland. But while his eyes were blue, his genes revealed that his hair was black or brown and his skin was dark. His skin was dark. You have to remember that dark is code word for black. This year, 84th annual meeting of American Associates Physical Anthropologists Research study published bioRxiv site. Dr. Lane Matheson, geneticist at Harvard University. Ancient DNA makes it possible to examine populations as they were before and after adaptation. Dark-skinned black people arrived in Europe 40,000 years ago and retained their dark-skinned black skin for longer than originally thought. The article goes on to say, rather than lightening as previously thought, the first people retained their dark skin color. Joseph Ritson, the Highlanders are generally...
People who talk about, well, the dark-skinned people went up into the north and lost their color due to the cold. That's not true. I disprove that in my book. Bullshit. Bullshit, you guys.
Communicative, with brown complexions, and almost always with black curled hair and dark eyes with black curled hair, brown complexions. The spreadsheet below is from a ship manifest that describes the Black Highlanders as they are boarding prison ships. They are described as black men. I guess Ritson was right. All right, so again, we've shown many of these musters, the originals, and this is some, as he's showing, the Scottish Highlanders. It says here George Samuel, 18, brown. James Donald, 20, brown. Andrew Matthew, dark complexion, and so on and so on. So we got William Jackson, Donald McDonald, William Ross, Duncan Campbell, John Cunningham, Hugh McPhee, Daniel Dingwell, John Bowie, Duncan Orr, James Reed, George Hume. All right, all of them people of color, right? Jacobite Gleanings from the State Manuscripts, page 48. This is from 1745. I've actually shown you guys the original, the actual book that contains this list. This is real. Author J. Macbeth Forbes, Harvard College Library. This is real. Real. Black Europeans, they were so-called Negro, the Highlanders. Wake up.
I learned that ChatGPT works best with detailed prompts, but I hate typing them. So instead...
In this part of the book, he's showing the memoirs of the Secret Services of John McKee. Remember my Jacobite John McKee?
Everybody should get this book. You can download it. It's free. Called Memoirs of the Secret Services of John Mackey. Memoirs of the Secret Services of John Mackey.
Great Agent video where we actually read this book. He has the cover right here. We actually went to this actual book right here from the 1700s, 1733, as it says here, Nichols and Sons book collection, the New York Library. All right, and here he describes many of the Jacobites. We've went over this. He's labeling, he's describing them all of them with dark complexion. Let's go over some examples in this book, which we have in this book here, the Negro Question, Part 7. It says here, Charles. So it says a description of the Jacobite royals, princes, dukes, earls, and noblemen of the Scotch, Irish, and Brit Welsh. It says here, 1. Charles Lennox, page 36, Duke of Richmond, son of Charles I of Scotland, black complexion, much like King Charles. That's what it says. 2. John Lord Somers, pages 48, 49, and 50, late Lord Chancellor, brown complexion. Daniel Earl of Nottingham, pages 25 and 26, Secretary of State, a tall, thin black man. Charles Duke of Somerset, pages 16 and 17, Master of the Horses. Reign of Charles II, black complexion. John Duke of Buckinghamshire, pages 19 and 20, was Earl of Mulgrave in the reign of King Charles II, brown complexion. Charles Duke of St. Albans, page 40, first son of Charles II, black complexion, much like King Charles. John Duke of Newcastle, page 35, Earl of Clare, before the Revolution. King William created this gentleman a duke and gave him a garter, black ruddy complexion. Heneage Finch, Lord Guernsey, page 90, brother of Earl of Nottingham and solicitor to King James II, a tall, thin black man. Earl of Feverham, page 98, took oath to King Williams, a middle-statured brown man. This description of the black Jacobite royals, Scottish Highlanders, and black Britons, Welsh, comes to us from a very reliable source, the English Secret Service. What would you call a man that was given false memories, a false name, and a false past? I would call him a hybrid, an artificial being, and that is what has happened to the so-called Negro. Listen, this hybrid Negro has forgotten his true history, his God and his land. The great switcheroo has taken place. Someone else is living in your mansion, wearing your royal titles, assuming your history, and swatting.
There it is. Pay attention. These people were con artists. They were able, like they said, this hybrid Negro has forgotten his true history, his God and his land. The great switcheroo after the 1880s, man, has taken place. Someone else is living in your mansion, wearing your royal title, assuming your history, and squatting is just to say, on your land. They appear in social media as the royals of Europe when they know that this is historically and genetically impossible. Let's continue.
Your land. They appear in social media as the royals of Europe when they know that this is historically and genetically impossible. We are the seed of the black Jacobite Israelite royals of Europe. They allowed us to keep our Scot, Irish, German, French, and British last names, but our memories have been erased. All right, this is deep what he's saying right here. Shout out to Lee Cummins. Your memory is erased by the lies that they teach you in the government-sponsored school system.
With AI, you can create
any character you want.
Real life, fantasy, sci-fi, even animation.
And we continue in the book, a couple more scans of some of the pages again, just going over some of them. It says the black government of England and the American Revolution. Britain in the Hanoverian Age, 1714 to 1837, an encyclopedia, pages 287 to 90. This is what it says. On pages 287 to 290, King George II court is described as Teutonic. The word Teutonic was a word that described all the Germanic tribes. And based on the writings of Benjamin Franklin, a picture begins to emerge. The King's Parliament was full of black people. Professor Boyd Dawkins, our earliest ancestors, page 95. Or suppose we go back a few years and examine the history of Germany. The cry under which the Germans have advanced to victory is the cry of a united Germany. That Germany should unite under one rule, all the Teutonic people. The professor is referring to Black Holy Roman German Empire. Remember, I've shown the family crest. This is the same people we're talking about. Remember, we've shown these family Holy Roman, right? Families, clergymen, bishops. What color were the Germans in 1751? Let's rely on eyewitness testimony of Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, 1751, essays, America as a land of opportunity. Germany is swarthy, black. All right, Benjamin Franklin said it many times during his life. The colonial revolution started 25 years from the date of Benjamin Franklin's essay. Hardly enough time for the German people to go from being black to white. This book will prove that the black British German army occupied the 13 colonies. And Benjamin Franklin says, and since detachments of English from Britain sent to America will have their places at home, so soon supplied and increased so largely here, why should the Palatine Boers, Germans, right, be suffered to swarm into our settlements, and by herding together establish their language and manners to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens, who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion? That's Benjamin Franklin literally saying they cannot even be our color. He was different. They were darker than him. These Germans, Palatines, these Boers, he's calling them. When Benjamin Franklin arrived in the 13th colony, 1723, there was already a black, Scotch, Irish, Dutch, Swede, German, and Welsh population present in great numbers. These black were the seed of the original colonists who had come to North America in the days of King James VI of Scotland, King Charles I, King Charles II, and King James II, Duke of York. The data associated with the colonization of North America by these black Scots and black Brits can be found in the Negro Question Part 6, the 13 black colonies. Make sure to check that part out too, get all the books. This was the reason that Benjamin Franklin sounded the alarm in his essay. The original colonists were black. The American Indians were black, all right? Big one right there. This is what we've been trying to tell you the whole time. You guys are literally the Americans. Which ones? The ancient ones and the founding fathers, the ones who came, not just doing evil, what we think of colonization, but also just people just trying to get away and come to their promised land. They were being persecuted over there, and, they had to survive. They did, but they had to, I guess, whether it was evil or good or bad, it just happened. And it's a lot of you guys' genealogy. Again, the original colonists were black. The American Indians were black. And here comes another 70,000 black Europeans, Germans and Scotch Irish, pouring into Pennsylvania. Again, we have shown numerous primary sources correlating all this information here. This here, Charles James Fox, all right? So these pictures still, I don't think they're all too authentic. They still, to me, look a little whitewashed. It says here, British Statements and Foreign Secretary, 1806 Ladies Magazine. So let's worry about what was written in the actual primary sources, though. How he's described. It says here, the Atlantic Monthly, Volume 105, page 447. Charles Fox is a short, fat, and gross man with a swarthy complexion and dark eyebrows. Swarthy complexion, all right? Charles Fox. Memoirs of the Life and Times of King George III, page 388. Fox's figure is broad and heavy, inclined to corpulence, obesity. His figure was harsh, swarthy, black, and sanguine, ruddy. Ruddy is red-brown, right? He looked like King Charles II. So King Charles II is also swarthy, right? And whom he was the great-great-grandson. The most striking feature on his face was his black and shaggy eyebrows. Says here, Admiral Richard Howey. I've got actually reference of the Howey brothers before. It says here, National Portrait Gallery, engraver John Singleton Colby, 1794. And it says here, from 1777, the year of the hangman, page 8. Author John S. Pancake, University of Alabama Press. The tall, swarthy Howey brothers. That's what they were being described as. And
hold on, I am over the 21-minute mark, so let me do a little bit of commentary, not long. But look, our history has been altered, changed for the betterment of white folk who don't have a history, to the detriment of us. You cannot walk around, a tree cannot stand without roots. It will fall over every time. Our ancestors, whether you like them or not, are the roots of us. The black European, the black Chinese, the black Japanese, the black Caribbean, the black Pacific Islanders. All these people are black. Let's continue. That's my comment.
Encyclopedia Britannica, Dictionary of Arts, Sciences, volumes 13 and 14, pages 837. Admiral Richard Howey's nickname was given to him on account of his swarthy complexion, Black British Admiral. And they're not even giving the nickname. He was literally called Black Dick Richard. He was called Black Dick. I've actually gone over the primary source. As funny as that sounds, that's what he was being called. Why? Because of his swarthy complexion. A Black British Admiral. This here, General William Howe. It says here in the American Revolution 100, The Battles of People and Events of the American Revolution, page 58. Commander William Howey was swarthy, 6 feet tall, with bad teeth. Memoirs of the Life and Writings of Benjamin Franklin, page 310. The French were swarthy in northern France. In 1778, Benjamin Franklin was the ambassador to France. This means that Franklin lived among the French people, and he wrote memoirs, what he saw, a primary source. This makes Franklin an eyewitness. Memoirs of Thomas Jefferson, the storming of the Bastille, July 14, 1789. I saw 60,000 Frenchmen of all colors. Thomas Jefferson lived among the French people, and he wrote memoirs, what he saw. This makes him an eyewitness, just like Franklin. Now that we have cleared this matter up, let us proceed to one of the great secrets. There are many of the American Revolution. One of the secrets of the American Revolution is the fact that black German troops fought under the French umbrella. This here black German Hessian state. It is known fact among the so-called scholars that there were only 5,000 inhabitants in Pennsylvania in the year 1723. This number included Germans, Scotch, Irish, Welsh, Britons, and English. In 1753, 30 years later, there were 40,000 black swarthy Germans in Pennsylvania, along with 30,000 black swarthy Irishmen. You guys hearing? Do the numbers. These people had descendants. This is why Franklin freaked out. The original colonists were black, and now you have 70,000 black Europeans herding into Pennsylvania. You might think the writer is delusional. You might think we're crazy when we're saying this, but we've gone over the numbers of these indentured servants that we're getting rid of from Europe. We've gone over these ship manifests, thousands and thousands. You might think the writer's delusional, but before I'm through writing this book, the proof will astound you. If you were shocked by the black French and Haitian omission, you will be horrified by the omission of the black German troops. Let us examine the original draft of the Declaration of Independence and the words of Thomas Jefferson. All right, so he goes over that. All right, so again, make sure to get the full book. Portrait right here, and it says Black German Charles of Birkenfeld, Zweibrücken, History of Birkenfeld, and Wikipedia Commons. These black Germans were called Teutons, and were located off the east coast of Britain. This one right here, check this one out. You can definitely see so-called Negro in this coin or jewel. It says here, Philip the One, Landgrave, Count of the Hesse, circa 1535. All right? And it says this is what a black German Hessian soldier looked like. And I would argue this with any of their scholars. It says here, see book, the Duke de Lausanne in his Legion book. Not only did the black German Hessians send over 16,000 black troops to invade the 13 colonies as mercenaries, they also sent black German officers. Over 30,000 black German Hessian troops fought on the side of the British during the American Revolution. Right, that's a big one right there. History they never told us. Black Germans fought under the French flag and then were forced to fight against the black German mercenaries that the English had hired. Think about it. This will prove to be a black-on-black affair. All right, black on black affair. This is a drawing they have, again, of a black Hessian German drummer. This is a historic drawing, which you can actually find that. Brigadier General Francis Marion, Frenchman, Memoirs of Henry Armit Brown, together with 4 oracle orations, page 329. A few bloody noses, the realities and mythologies of the Amurian Revolution, Image, South Carolina, Virtual Library. It says here, Marion was a stranger to the officers and men, and they flocked about him to obtain a sight of their future commander. Recalled William James, who joined Marion's men when he was only 15. He was rather below the middle stature, lean and swarthy. Swarthy means black. Journal of Military Service Institution, U.S. Journal, Volume 1, page 265. General Marion was below middle size, lean and swarthy. His French betokened unmistakably his Huguenot ancestry, Moorish Huguenot ancestry. Who are the Huguenots? Again, we've gone over, have many videos on the Huguenots. I have a whole 4 or 5 hour video on the Huguenots alone, who they were. All right, definitely swarthy people, black French, definitely. This is a black French general, knowing now that he's a Huguenot. See how it all correlates. Says General John Sullivan, Memoirs of Henry Armit Brown, together with 4 historical orations, page 329, Yale University. Swarthy John Sullivan is a little headstrong, but brave as a lion. Black Scottish Continental General. All right, these are literally how these people were being described. Okay, that means black, swarthy. General John Sullivan was a black Scotch-Irish general that fought on the American continental side during the Revolution. The Scotch-Irish were black from ancient times. Captain Paul Jones, Memoirs of the Marquis of Rockingham, and his contemporaries, Volume 2, page 379. An adventurer with a single ship caused an almost consternation in the north. I mean, Paul Jones, this celebrated renegade from Scotland, was a short, thick-set man with coarse medieval word for nappy, features, and swarthy complexion. Captain Jones is a black Scotch-Irish with coarse, nappy hair, black Scottish Continental officer. Captain Paul Jones, Appleton's Magazine, Volume 6, page 116. Mademoiselle Talisson, arrow equals white paint. Captain Paul Jones' hair and eyebrows are black, and his eyes are large, brilliant, piercing. His complexion is swarthy, almost like that of a Moor. All right, that's from that magazine. Mademoiselle Talisson states that this man was so black that he looked like a Moor. How can you be black and look black? There was an attempt to paint the image white. General Charles Lee, Washington and His Generals, or Legends of the American Revolution, Volume 1. Author George Lippert, page 33. The one who held the map was tall and straight-shouldered, and I knew the figure to be that of the General-in-Chief. As I approached, I recognized, too, the swarthy face of General Charles Lee. Okay? It says here in Hostile Red, A Romance of the Monmouth Campaign. Author Joseph Alexander Altschuler, page 314.
Now, for me to cut in, the Monmouth Rebellion is where the first black heavyweight champion, you know who I'm talking about, came from. Damn it. Jack Johnson. So, let's keep it moving.
And then in the same circle with Pickering and Lee, the captain of the partisan band, with his slight form and swarthy face, who was on detail on that fateful night with the commander-in-chief, General Light Horse Henry Lee. Frank Leslie's Illustrated Newspaper, Volume 43, May 13, 1876, all right, page 162. The ruddy Virginian Light Horse Henry Lee. General Henry Lee was also the Virginian representative to the U.S. Congress. This ruddy man was the father of Confederate General Robert E. Lee, all right? His dad was ruddy. This is the best image that I could get of this guy. You can see the whitening taking place around his mouth. All right, so these pictures I don't even pay attention to because I already know, most of them are touched up. It says here, he's a black Continental general, right? The father of Confederate General Robert E. Lee. Washington and His Generals, or Legends of the American Revolution, Volume 1, page 39. Ha, that gallant band whom comes trooping on, spurring their stout steeds with wild hunches, every swarthy hand raising the sword. On high they wear the look of foreigners, trained to fight in the exterminating wars of Europe. Their leader, Pulaski, is tall and proportioned with a dark-hued, hued means colored face. The memoirs said that these black men came from Europe, not Africa. Because that's what they try to tell us when they, give us a little bit of drop here that they might have been black, right? But they were not from Africa, they were from Europe, which is 4,512 miles from Africa. Black Polish Continental General, George Washington. Are there any memoirs from the 18th century that give an eyewitness description of George Washington? Yes, there is, but we will have to use multiple memoirs of people that actually knew George Washington. The eyewitness description of George Washington and his French forefather is going to destroy the false memories that you were taught by academia.
Now, a quick one. I had it out with, in a good, friendly way, Maurice and his show. George Washington wasn't black. George Washington wasn't black. He was. But I quietly presented the information and the facts. I didn't give a fuck about his feelings or emotions. I give no fucks about that. Just the facts. If you go back in 1776, 1876, 1976, the bicentennial book describes George Washington as a black man, motherfucker, and his wife, a black woman. No, they weren't white. Why would they put that in the bicentennial if we were white? Dummy.
Okay, so I got a future video and also on George Washington to show a lot more sources, put it all in one video to have for reference for everybody. These are some examples here. It says here keywords and definitions. Swarthy means black, ruddy red, or red brown, right? Moor or Moran, black. Book Hugh Wine, the Pre-Quaker, page 463. General Washington has blue eyes and ruddy skin, ruddy brown, copper colored, ruddy. Right, we're continuing the book. Again, just some examples, some screenshots of the book. Get the full book. Martial, this black French woman married Colonel Reed, black Brit, a man from Britain, Wales. A daughter was born to them by the name of Mildred Marteau, a black woman, who in turn married Colonel Augustus Warner, and to them was born the illustrious George Washington. So how did he get Washington if his dad is Warner, huh? And his dad, Mama Marteau. Interesting, right? Future video, we're going to break this down, try to see what's going on here. Benjamin Franklin said, the French are swarthy black, and when he traveled to France, he wrote, the Frenchmen in northern France are swarthy black, okay? Primary sources. Thomas Jefferson again wrote, during the storming of the Bastille in France, I saw 60,000 Frenchmen of all colors storming the Bastille, okay, of all colors. These are facts, non-fiction, as they have been handed down to this generation. George Washington had French Huguenot Basque blood in him, okay, from his great-great-grandfather's side of the family. Franklin's mother was a black woman, being the offspring of two black nations, the French Black Basque and the Black Brit Welsh. Professor Boyd Dawkins said the Black Britons were pushed westward into Wales and Scotland. This is the reason Washington was described as being swarthy and ruddy. He was a mulatto French-Welsh prince. Have you ever seen a street fight that started in the street and then it ended up in somebody's front yard. This great argument, Memoirs, has come forth from the grave and is banging on the front doors of academia. It is time to examine the black occupation of the 13 colonies. Wake up. All right, we got an image right here. Supposedly, I'm not sure how they got this image. It says here, President Andrew Jackson, French Huguenot Basque blood, French Huguenot Basque blood, Andrew Jackson, lithograph, 1830, Library of Congress. All right, is that a little coarse hair? Is that a coarse white hair? This is an original print of President Andrew Jackson being depicted as a black Frenchman, along with the various black Indian chiefs. Take a closer look at the picture on the wall. Behind Jackson, the Indians is depicted as black. All right, unfortunately, we don't got a good image of that, but that's what he's saying. But again, the Indian is depicted as a black person, and Lady Britain is depicted as a white woman. This portrait of Andrew Jackson supports the noise out there that says he was a black man. Our focus today is not on Andrew Jackson, but the black American Indian. All of the images from the 18th century depicts the Indian as a man of color. I shall produce another eyewitness, the founder of Pennsylvania, William Penn. He's going to let you know the color. We've gone over this primary source, and it's very interesting. Again, on Andrew Jackson, that's another future video I got for you guys. We're going to break that down as well, just like we did Abraham Lincoln. Now, it says here regarding William Penn, what did he say?
Now, I want to pause it here and go into a little bit of commentary, not for long. But it is so very, very important to know the past, to understand the present, and predict the future. When you know this, my people, you're going to look at white folks like, you dirty motherfucker. You ain't shit, never have been shit, never will be shit. Fuck you, fuck your mama, fuck everybody about your motherfucking family who want to be. You guys are fucking animals. You just stopped eating black people in the 70s. And the matter of fact, they're still eating us. Still killing us in the air, in the water, in the food, in the soda pops, or whatever the case. These motherfuckers are treacherous. They're not going to stop until we stop them like we did in Egypt, like we did in Greece and Rome. And they are feeling it now because they're so scared about retribution. Let's continue.
About the Delaware Indians. William Penn wrote this in the 1600s. I've shown the primary source. I've shown the actual source in my previous videos. Make sure you catch up if you're new. It says here, William Penn, for the natives, the Indians, I shall consider them in their persons, language, manners, religion, and government. For their persons, they are generally tall, straight, and well-built, and of singular proportion. Their complexion is black, like the gypsies in England. Boom, right? All right. Who's the gypsies? The Indians are so-called black, like the gypsies. The gypsies are black too, just like the Indians. All right, primary source is William Penn letting you know about the Delaware Indians. They grease themselves with bear fat and using no defense against the sun and weather. Their skin must be swarthy. They have to be swarthy. William Penn not only tells us that the Indians in North America were black, but he tells us that they are black as the Europeans in England. Wow. William Penn also gives us the definition of swarthy. Penn said black is swarthy. Benjamin Franklin said the same exact thing in 1751. And this is an image of Boston, supposedly 1775. Very hard to, really look at these images they got here. But he had some closings, I guess. It says here, this is from Landing of the British Troops, 1775, engraved with Paul Revere, American Antiquarian Society. This image of the invasion of Boston Harbor by British troops doesn't look like much, does it? It looks like a pretty picture with boats floating in the harbor. That is not the case. When you actually blow the image up, the precious jewels begin to emerge. See the next page. All right, so he kind of zoomed into the image as he's saying here. And yeah, I mean, it looks like swarthy people. I mean, you can't just say these are white. That would be conjecture. I mean, look how they even dress. Some of them look like the Indians, right, with the headdresses and the tobacco leaf skirt or whatever. But again, he's saying, this from page 134, these images that you are seeing are the black, British, German, Hessian troops, the red coats, as they are disembarking the warships I gave you two shots of the same image because I couldn't tell which one was the best shot. I deliberately showed you the ships coming into Boston Harbor and the black British. All right, so this is another image here, the burning of New York. It says here, Du Feu Terrible of Nouvelle York, image cropped from page 140. All right, he cropped in. These are the people doing, this is supposed to be Europeans. All right, look how they look. This image illustrates what the establishment has hidden from the masses over the years. The government-sponsored narrative will be that these were slaves, but they cannot prove that. These are the black German Hessian mercenaries that the English hired to put down the revolt in the 13 British colonies. Let us proceed further because this book is full of proof. This information is astonishing. Not only did the black Europeans found New York, but black Europeans invaded and occupied New York. Who? Black Europeans, not the so-called white man.
If you're hearing these words, it's not a coincidence. Something powerful is moving in the...
Another close-up, as you guys can see. Who is that? All right. This is what the research in the Negro Question, Part 6, the 13 black colonies proclaimed. In Part 6, I give a timeline in which the black Scottish colonists arrived into the colonies. The black Scots began arriving during the reigns of the black Jacobite Scottish kings, King James I of Scotland and England, King Charles I of England, King Charles II of England, and finally, King James II of England. Make no mistake about it. These are the swarthy black Germans that Benjamin Franklin talked about. These are not slaves, okay? These are not slaves. These are not Africans, man, okay? These are the Germans Benjamin Franklin was talking about. I have greater witness than this. Come and see, all right? He got more and more and more in all his parts. All right, and this is another image here, and this is what he has in the cover of his book, okay? As you can see, colorized, what he has in the cover of his book, colorized, and here it is again, right? As they drew it, or as it's in black and white. It says here, Sons of Liberty destroy statue of King George III, the Sons of Liberty, War of Independence, British Library. This is the image that you see on the front cover of this book. This is an image of the black British soldiers destroying the statue of King George III of England, a German king. The images are extremely small, so to see the real jewels that this image possesses, it is necessary to enlarge this. Let's go look at it in the next page, he says. So this is him closed up, but he has a better picture in the cover, colorized. That's literally what you're seeing. Here it is again, but as you can see, these are all swarthy people. All right, what's going on here? As you can see, all of these German Hessian soldiers are black. These black men are black German mercenaries. They are not former slaves. These black colonists included Germans, Swedes, Dutch, Norwegians, Bohemians, Prussians, French, Brits, Scots, and Irish. The government-sponsored narrative is beginning to come apart at the seam. Where did all these free black citizens of New York come from? Let's read a passage from the 13 Colonies written by Helen Eisenlaub on the next page. All right, so again, this is the image he was talking about. Again, black Hessians, black. Because here, Helen Ainsley, the 13 Colonies, page 386. This colony, New York, in 1664, then numbered some 7,000 Dutch. This is besides the real Dutch, Prussians, Bohemians, French, Swedes, Norwegians, Scots, Welsh, Irish, and 5,000 English. What color were these people? All right, Benjamin Franklin again. America is a land of opportunity. This is from Benjamin Franklin's own words. Again, Benjamin Franklin said the Swedes, French, and Germans were swarthy. German people include Prussians, Bohemians, Dutch, and Swedes. Okay, that's all included there. According to Benjamin Franklin's Dublin theory, every 25 years a population should double. By the year 1764, there would be 112,000 black Dutchmen and Germans in New York City. The Scotch, Irish, and the Welsh of Britain were black also, all right? So one thing I just want to point out here, talk about that movie, Gangs of New York. You got to have a different perspective when you see these things, all right? I know they whitewash it hard, but you got to have a different perspective. What did Helen Eisley mean when she said 7,000 Dutch besides the real Dutch? Since the Dutch were the original founders of New York it was assumed that all the blacks in the city were Dutch. Interesting, right? This is why the citizens in this photo are black. They are the seed of the original founders of New York. If you are one of the guys, you will know what this means. The same thing happened when the seed of Ham and the seed of Shem were herded on the ships and brought to North America. We got another image here. It says General Lord Charles Cornwallis book, The History of the War from the Commencement of the French Revolution to the Present Time, Volume 1. Author Hewson Clark, published 1816. General Cornwallis, his aide, surrendered 8,000 black, British, German, Hessian troops to a swarthy, ruddy George Washington at Yorktown. The white images printed in the books sanctioned by the Texas State School Board as it relates to colonial history is nothing but the unchecked imagination of an evil mind. Alright, whitewashed images. The tissue that you use to wipe your nose with has more value than the images printed in these books. In those books, Black Occupation of New York, 6 years, alright? Dodge the hijack with the whitewashed images, he's letting you know. The Charleston Massacre, 1775, it says here. Alright, Bunker Hill, attack on Bunker Hill and the burning of Charleston.
Hold on.
Says the British attacked Charleston in 1775 but couldn't overcome the city. In the year 1780, British General Cornwallis, along with the black German Hessian troops, invaded and occupied Charleston, Massachusetts.
Hold on, I'm going to eat a little bit. I'll talk about that, and I'm going to cut my feed. But the sound will still be there. Hold on.
The year 1782, Black occupation of Charleston, 2.5 years. All right, and he zoomed in to the troops, as you guys can see, all black folks here. That's what he's letting you know. They made it all blurry. They did it all small, so you wouldn't notice. This is an authentic image of the black British German troops as they are entering and unloading in Charleston Harbor. This history that you are reading has been hidden from the entire world, including your preacher. It is written that it is where possible they would fool the very elect. Black occupation of Massachusetts, 7 years. All right, here we're going over Ship Manifest, the Veteran from 1745. That's the ship name. Place of origination, Liverpool. All right, and this is, I've shown the exact primary source on this, the Jacobite gleanings from the state manuscripts. I've shown this again. We have here Robert Adam, brown smooth face, William Bell, black curled hair, Dougal Campbell, brown complexion, Alexander Katanak, black ruddy, Dougal Campbell, brown ruddy, Alexander Campbell, brown pot-pitted. All right, that's from pages 37-48, author J. Macbeth Forbes, Harvard College Library. This is an eyewitness account of the black Jacobite Hebrew Israelites, noblemen, princes, and captured soldiers as they are boarding the prison ships to be shipped into the 13 colonies. The Campbells are described as brown and ruddy people. These Campbells match the description of the Highlanders given by Professor Dawkins. What does this mean? This means that racist Georgia was captured and occupied by a black Scottish Highlander, Lieutenant Archibald Campbell, along with his black German Hessian soldiers. The Black Hessians fought off the Continental Army, led by General Benjamin Lincoln and Comte d'Estaing. During the siege of Savannah, 4,000 free black Haitians fought on the side of the American colonists. That's some more images here. You guys can see black British German troops. He's pointing out here. Free Haitian troops, black British German troops, free continental groups, and it's all black folks here. This is the true history of the occupation and siege of Savannah, Georgia. The black British German Hessian invasion force fought off the black French and black Haitian forces. These were 4 black armies present in Georgia, okay? So wake up, you gotta break the spell. All that whitewashing they did. There were 4 black armies present in Georgia. Shout this, shout it. 4 black armies present in Georgia. On the top of Stone Mountain. Shout it. Go to Stone Mountain in Georgia. I've been there. Go to Stone Mountain in Georgia and shout this. Black occupation of Savannah, Georgia. 4 years. What politeness demanded? Ethnic omissions in Benjamin Franklin's autobiography. Mark L. Harris, Penn State University. It is well documented that both Philadelphia and Pennsylvania were home to a large and diverse non-British population during the 18th century. When Franklin arrived in the city, 1723, its population of about 5,000 already included large numbers of Germans and Scotch-Irish, in addition to its English and Welsh. Welsh equal Black Britons inhabitants. Over the following 30 years, while Franklin became first a prominent printer and then a professional public figure, a noted natural philosopher, the city was inundated by immigrants. Some 40,000 Black German speakers landed at Philadelphia in the period, and a further 30,000 Black Scotch-Irish migrants entered Pennsylvania. There were over 80,000 Blacks entering Philadelphia within 30 years of Benjamin Franklin's arrival. All right, you guys, I hope you guys are paying attention. This is real history. Gotta break the spells. Whatever personal feelings you have, what you feel about the topic of Black Europeans, this is real history. The Wales are the original Black Britons that were pushed into Wales by the invading whites in the year 449 AD. I wouldn't even say they were whites. I would say those were even other people of color. The 40,000 Black Germans are a mixture of Black French Huguenots, and Black Germans. The Black Huguenots migrated to Germany, Ireland, and Wales. They ended up in these places, so they came to be known as Germans, Irish, and Welsh, but they were actually Huguenots or Moorish Sephardic Jews. Following the reversal of the Edict of Nantes by King Louis XIV, better known as the Sun King, when you put the Germans and French in the same room, you couldn't tell them apart. When the census was taken, the French totals were added to the Black German totals, unknowingly. All of these will become clearer by the time you are finished reading this book. Black British German occupation of Philadelphia, 1 year.
Here's how developers at Perplexity and NVIDIA are prompting AI 10 times faster. You're prompting Cursor over 100 times.
This here, Black Armies of the American Revolution, Black British German soldiers, Black Polish Army, Pulaski, Black French Huguenot soldier, Black Haitian soldiers, Black Continental soldiers, Scotch, Irish, and Welsh, Black American Indian. Behold the Morin Black soldiers. Professor Boyd Dawkins continued, the inhabitants of Britain belonged to very different races. Britain was inhabited by the Black Basque from ancient times, and they called themselves Roman citizens. In their books, they were called the Britons or Welsh. There are two types of Welsh. One is dark and 5 feet 4 inches, and the other is tall and round-headed. The English pushed the dark Welsh Britain westward into Wales, Cumberland, Westmoreland, Highlands of Scotland, Cornwall, and Devon. All right, that's from Professor Boyd Dawkins. Professor Boyd Dawkins is given the location of the blacks in Wales. See the spreadsheet below that lists some of the Black Scots and the new Black European colonists that are being sent into the colonists. So here the Black colonists being sent to the 13 colonies, first name, last name, and remarks. So we got Angus McIntosh, who's Black, he's 26. Peter McIntosh, brown. James McPherson, Black. The McPherson go back to the Chata clan. Read up on that, the Chata clan, and they were known as the tribe of cats. Cats, huh? Jaguars, huh? Pumas, Panthers. Alexander McLeod, brown. Charles Morgan, brown. Donald McGillis, Black. Alan McDougall, Black. Angus MacDonald, Black. Convict ship, the veteran political prisoners, continued. These black men on these ships manifest will form the Continental Army during the American Revolution. You see their fate? History of the MacDonald clan, page 98. Land was granted to Angus MacDonald on the east side of the Kinderhook River. During the Jacobite Rising of 1745, MacDonald fought as a lieutenant under the command of Charles Edward Stuart in the Battle of Culloden, after which he was attainted of treason. He fled Scotland and departed from Inverness for the colony of Virginia in 1746 at the age of 18. Following his arrival in Virginia, MacDonald worked as a merchant in Falmouth for 2 or 3 years. In 1765, MacDonald returned to military service when he was commissioned by Thomas Fairfax, 6th Lord Fairfax of Cameron, as a major in command of the Frederick County Militia. Lord Fairfax also appointed MacDonald as an attorney and land agent for his Northern Neck Proprietary. Governor John Murray, 4th Earl of Dunmore, commissioned MacDonald in 1774 as a ranking military officer of an expedition. The expedition was formed to organize and recruit settlers, Black, Scottish, Irish, west of the Allegheny Mountains. The recruits' mission was to defend settlements from Native American attacks. MacDonald completed the expedition, which met its goal of temporarily relieving Western Virginia frontier settlements from attacks. These are the original black colonists, and some more from the ship manifest. George Samuel, he's Brown. James Donald, Brown, these are again Jacobites. William Jackson, Brown, Lusty. Andrew Matthew, dark complexion. Donald MacDonald, swarthy. Angus MacDonald, black man. William Ross, ruddy. Duncan Campbell, dark complexion. John Cunningham, black, sturdy. Again, Jacobite Gleamers, page 3741 from 1745. So what are you really looking at? You are looking at an accurate description of the black colonists and the Black Continental Army. These black Jacobites were deported into 13 British colonies in 1715 and 1745. These men and their offspring filled the ranks of the Continental Army during the American Revolution. This is undisputable. This is important in case you guys ever doing your genealogy and you do find relatives that were in the Continental Army. Article history of the Clan MacDonald, Henry James Lee. At the time of the outbreak of the Revolution, there was a large settlement of Scottish colonists at Cross Creek in North Carolina. They brought with them to the new country the sturdy sentiments of the Covenanters, but loyalty was an inherent principle in their character. And when Donald MacDonald called upon his countrymen to remember their oath of allegiance to the crown, they at first followed him to oppose the Patriot Army. As the rebellion assumed the phase of resistance to oppression and the redress of wrongs, the Black Highlanders switched allegiance and fought the Continental side. What does the writer mean? They fought on the side of the Covenanters. The only people to keep the covenant was the Hebrew Israelite Jacobites. These are the black men listed on the spreadsheet on the pages 168 to 170. Donald MacDonald, a Jacobite, was commissioned by Brigadier General of the British forces by Lord Dunmore and gathered more than 1,000 black Scots around him. According to the ship manifest, he was a swarthy black man. He had fought for Prince Charles Edward at Culloden and had great influence over his colonist countrymen. Also at Cross Creek lived Flora MacDonald, the heroine of the Prince's wanderings and escape, and she used all her influence to rally the Scots to General MacDonald's standard. The original black colonists of the 13 British colonies have been deleted from real colonial history. I was painting a black floor with red paint one day, and it occurred to me that even though the red paint was showing,
This video
was created by AI. With AI, you can create any character you want.
the black paint was still beneath the red paint. You just couldn't see it. Once in a while, the top paint peels or chips, and you can see the original color of the paint beneath it. The white paint is beginning to peel off real colonial history, and we are beginning to see the blackness of the American Revolution that has been hidden beneath the white paint. Together, we are shipping the paint of colonial and world history. And I agree, Mr. Cummins, together we're doing it. So shout out to you for bringing this to our awareness before anybody was really talking about it. So again, together we are shipping the paint of colonial and world history. All those lies, we're unmasking. All right, here we're looking at a French Huguenot, Henry Lawrence. President Henry Lawrence, French Huguenot. Boston Magazine, 1784, John Norman, The Hanging of Thomas Jeremiah, a free black man's encounter with liberty. Page 21. Elkanah Watson, a young American merchant who met Henry Lawrence in France in 1782, remembered him as a pleasant and facetious gentleman of swarthy complexion, medium size and slender form, black Continental president, all right, from the Continental Congress. This is before George Washington. The black Frenchman was the president of the Continental Congress, and he was one of the signees of the Articles of Confederation. All right, we're going to have a full video breakdown of this, the Continental.
Wait, a what? What? Are you kidding me? No. Yeah.
Congress and the Articles of Confederation, all these presidents that were before George Washington, they were swarthy, yes. This is just an example here. This black former president of the Continental Congress was also sent to London to negotiate a peace treaty between the 13 colonies and the United Kingdom. Henry Lawrence was sent along with Benjamin Franklin, John Jay, French Huguenot, and John Adams, French Huguenot.
They were both black.
All Moorish people. Yes, John Adams. Author Elkanah Watson, President Henry Lawrence of Congress, Men and Times of the Revolution, or Memoirs of Elkanah Watson, pages 138 and 139. Henry Lawrence, black French Huguenot, was formerly President of Congress and was appointed ambassador to Holland. He was a citizen of South Carolina, a man of great wealth and position. He had a swarthy complexion. This is how it's being described. Swarthy complexion, medium-sized and slender form. I was set up for Mr. Lawrence, who was in my vicinity. All right, it says here, Benjamin Franklin, 1751. The French are swarthy. President John Jay, French Huguenot. John Jay, one of the signatories of the Treaty of Paris, was the president of the Continental Congress in the year 1778. He was a swarthy black Frenchman. He later became the first Chief Justice in the 13 colonies. The date 1778 is 27 years.
Hold on. I'm coming back.
From the date 1751 that Benjamin Franklin said the French were black. This is not enough time for skin color to change from black to white, all right? And he's a Huguenot. We already know who the Huguenots are, right? President Elias Boudinot, French Huguenot. We've gone over him where we've shown sources describing him swarthy. There's another one here. It says Elias Boudinot, a swarthy black Frenchman, became president of the Continental Congress in the year 1782. How interesting that these first...
Now, if white folks were running it, how are these people becoming president under the Articles of Confederation? Before the first president of the United States of America under the under the U.S. Constitution, George Washington. They were black.
Presidents were kind of French, right? Black French or Huguenots, huh? What a coincidence. This black Frenchman was president during the final years of the American Revolution, and he was descended from de la Tremblay family in France. The date 1782 is 31 years from the date 1751 that Benjamin Franklin said the French were black. Again, this is not enough time for skin color to change from black to white. I have an image of the members of the Second Continental Congress. 11 of the signees were black Scots. 5 of the signees were black Welsh Brits. 1 Swede and 2 Irish. And this is very interesting coin or image that he got here. And these do look like so-called Negro people, right? It says here's a declaration. John Bull Declaration of Independence coin. This is a coin here. 1776. Library of Congress. All right, guys got to look for this coin. It says 10 years after the Declaration of Independence was adopted, John Trumbull traveled the country in a carriage seeking out all the men who signed the document. He wanted to paint their likeness as part of a monumental work depicting the nation's founding moment. This means the man was an eyewitness to the skin color of the delegates. He saw them face to face. He carried a small painting, protected by a special case, to which he would add each portrait as he found each member of the Revolutionary Congress. Again, there's the image. Look up any of the numbered individuals on this medal and then locate the name on the key below. The paragraph below the key will let you know from what race these men descended. Based on this information, you will be able to determine each man's true color. All right, so he put all the names here with the numbers. Then he breaks it down who they are. So here's the black Scotch Irish signees: William Hooper, North Carolina; Philip Livingston, North Carolina; Thomas McKean, Pennsylvania; Edward Rutledge, South Carolina; James Smith, Pennsylvania; James Wilson, Pennsylvania; John Witherspoon, New Jersey. The black Welsh signees are Thomas Jefferson from Virginia; Francis Lewis, New York; Williams from, Connecticut; George Reed, number 43 of Irish British descent. All right, so we continue in the book, and this is the cover of a book. It's called The Description of the Western Islands of Scotland, circa 1695, A Voyage to St. Kilda. This is another primary source. We actually read this book, Sortie Europe, videos that I did.
If you don't understand the rules of power, you will certainly lose to someone who does.
And it's going to tell you what the inhabitants of that area, the ancient inhabitants, what they were described as. It says here, this book, A Voyage to St. Kilda, was published in the year 1695 and is only 80 years from the start of the American Revolution. These black Scots had been pouring into the 13 black British colonies since the days of King James VI of Scotland. Take a look at the physical description of these black Scots below. Now, this is in the book he's quoting, okay? You guys can go read this book and verify for yourself. Anybody who's doubting this stuff, we've shown it already in my previous videos. Make sure to go back to my old videos, get all the info. It says here, the complexion of the islanders of Skye is most part black. The complexion of the islanders of Arran is generally brown complexion. The complexion of the islanders of the Isle of Jura is a black complexion. The complexion of the islanders of the Isle of Colonsay is a black complexion. This is primary sources. The complexion of the islanders of the Isle of Giga is a black complexion. I want to drive this point home. The original people of Scotland and Wales, Welsh were black people from ancient times. It is necessary to overemphasize this point because of the fake history that is being shoved down our throats, right? Fake history. And we continue, it says here, Journal of the Royal Institute of Cornwall, issues 49 and 52. Footprints of vanished races in Cornwall, page 293. The Ivernians were short, being on average less than 5 feet inches in height. They had black hair, straight noses, black eyes, and dark brown skin. The present Basque represents, according to Boyd Dawkins, the old Ivernian race of South Wales and are singularly like the Basque skulls. All right, it says here, Edward, the Black Prince of Wales, Welsh effigy. It says here, Wikipedia Encyclopedia, 1376 AD, but these are real images. This is not from Wikipedia. It says here, this is Edward, the Black British Prince, whose effigy mirrors his nickname. What else am I to believe? All right, that's a so-called black man there. It says here, Virginia, life, growth, and development in Virginia colony, 1700 to 1760. The number of people residing in the Virginia colony slowly increased between the years 1700 to 1730. But between the years 1730 and 1760, 240,000 black Irish Scots moved to Virginia. Let's get another description of the Scots Irish. It says here, Western Islands of Scotland, 1695. This book dated 1695 describes the black Scotch Irish from Scotland. The circulation date for this book, 1695, runs concurrently, same time, with the colonial era. This book was written during colonial times, which makes it a current event for that generation. The complexion of the islanders of the Skye is most part black. The complexion of the islanders of Arran is generally brown complexion. All right, so it keeps going over the same. These are the people of Scotland, and as you can see, the eyewitness describes them as black people. The Scots that were pushed into Ireland were called the Scot Irish. That is the reason they used to say, if you have seen a Scot, you have seen an Irishman. Source Peter H. Woods, The Change in Population, Powhatan's Mantle. Indians in the Colonial Southeast, University of Nebraska Press, New England, 1989. The total population of Virginia east of the Appalachians in 1670 was 327,000 people. This means that 2/3, 240,000 Scots of the Virginia population in 1760 consisted of the black Scot Irish. Have you ever sat in the midst of a brainwashed historian? They love to say that 250,000 free Negroes fought on the side of the North in the American Civil War. They love to say these Negroes were former slaves, or that these were Negroes whose masters freed them with their last dying breaths. Now listen to this. Now that we have examined the real data from the past, we know that the narrative is foolishness. That's false. These were the sons of the black Scots that founded the 13 colonies. This is deep, and it's not me telling you. Don't take it offensive. A lot of these free people of color were actually black Europeans, not just Indians. That's foolishness narrative. These were the sons of the black Scots that founded the 13 colonies. It says here, Congressional Serial, set page 12. The Scott-Irish at one time formed almost the entire population of West Virginia. This is creepy incredible. Virginia at one time was almost entirely black. Thomas Jefferson was born in Shadwell, Virginia in 1743, and he was a descendant of the Scotch-Irish. In 1695, the Scots were described as black people, pages 209 and 210. Like I said before, 48 years is not enough time for people's skin to change colors. All of these black Virginians have been painted white, including Thomas Jefferson. Their pictures destroyed and their lands confiscated. Your last name is the key to your poverty and your wealth. Listen to him. This is the same thing that happened to the real Israelites when they went into captivity. Their pictures were destroyed. Their land was divided among Esau, Ishmael, and Japhet. That's deep right there. All right, and this is a cover he has of a great book we're going to definitely get into. Mentioned it before in a lot of my videos, especially when we're talking about the Black Irish. And the book is Whence the Black Irish of Jamaica by Joseph J. Williams. Like, who are they? Literally what he's saying. The Black Irish, author Joseph J. Williams, Ph.D. This book was written by the Jesuit priest Joseph Williams. In his book, he states that 100,000 Black Irish children were shipped into Barbados, Jamaica, and Virginia. If you take into account that each child had a mother and a father, we can now count for 300,000 Black Irish Scots. The Scots-Irish Thomas Jefferson's people were pushed westward into northeast Ireland by the invading whites in the year 449 AD. And I would
invading whites. Don't ever forget that shit. They're not native to any motherfucker.
To hijack on that one, I think they were people of color as well. So this is again a close-up. Image blown up from page 213. Oliver Cromwell Edict 1653. Those who fail to transplant themselves to Connaught or Clare, Ireland, within 6 months shall be guilty of high treason. You will then be sent into America or some other part beyond the sea. The Royal African Company sent 249 ships. That's a lot of ships. What slave ships? These are the real slave ships to the West Indies. Sending the Irish into the Americas and West Indies, not from Africa, from Ireland. Black folks, Black Irish, going into the West Indies, working in these plantations. With the invention of the paintbrush, the distorters of the truth can rewrite history by simply painting black images white. The images of the original Scot-Irish are now white instead of black. Wake up. The Black Irish Earls. Says here, image of Earl Gilbert de Clare and Clare coat of arms. You see that? Swarty. Image of Irish Earl Gilbert de Clare. Image location, book of Tewkesbury Abbey and Wikipedia. We've shown all this stuff, okay, before. I decided to go into my archives and dust off the images of the Black Irish Earls, Thomas Jefferson's people, to drive home my point. There is no dispute in the blackness of these original Irish people. We simply have not been taught real world history. You cannot dispute this image. That is a swarthy, so-called Negro Irish person right there from the 1100s. You cannot dispute that. This is that ongoing science that has to be applied to colonial history, or we will just be as guilty as the perpetrators of fake history if we don't say anything, right? Just as guilty. This is Lord Belmont I, Earl of Annesley. Annesley coat of arms. You see that? That's Annesley. So-called black man on it, right? First Earl of Annesley, Ireland, with Annesley coat of arms. Image location, Chichester Monuments, Ireland. This is an image of Lord Belmont, the first Earl of Annesley in Northern Ireland. The Annesley family coat of arms is to the left of Lord Belmont's image. The coat of arms and the image of the Earl speak for themselves, right? Black man right here on the left and so-called black folks painted right here in this coat of arms, this family crest, all right? Noble Europeans. All right, so right here he has more examples. This is from his book, The Negro Question, Part 6, but also we've shown the actual primary source, the actual Jacob Gleeman's book, showing these the ship manifests from 1745 of the black Jacobites that were being transported to the colonies. And more examples right here, Robert Adam Brown, William Bell Black, Douglas Campbell Brown, Alexander Catanock Black, Dougal Campbell Brown, Alexander Campbell Brown, John Campbell Brown, Alexander Cameron, and so on and so on. You see all these people are so-called black, people of color, so-called Negroes, okay? Information can be found in the book, Jacobite Gleamings from State Manuscripts, page 48. It's from 1745. There's no dispute in this. Author J. Macbeth Forbes, Harvard College Library from Harvard. These black Israelites were absorbed by the original black colonists and fought against the British in the American Revolution. This ship manifest validates John McKee's description of the Scottish nobles exactly, just like John McKee described them. It's a whole different source. William Penn's description of the black gypsy Europeans and Benjamin Franklin's statement that the Europeans were black. It's all correlating. Why are we ignoring all this information? Some more examples here. As you guys can see the names. You have these family names. A lot of you have, yes, these black European ancestry of Jacobites, these prisoners of war, these black Hessians, black Scots, Irish, all that. I want to slow this discussion down for 1 minute now to make a point. Although they destroyed the black images from the colonial era, this ship's manifest gives an accurate description of what the colonists really looked like. These black Jacobite colonists became the Black Continental Army that fought against the Black British Germany Army.
This is not a trading chart. This is actually a billion-dollar system designed
that invaded the 13 colonies. This is the reason you have white paint on all the images from the colonial era. It is a cover-up. It says here, Memoirs of General Keppel, the Edinburgh Review, volumes 143 and 44, page 235. A greater man than Robert Adair lives in Lord Abermale's recollection. It must have been in the summer of 1806, when he was about 7 years old, that his father took him to see Mr. Fox. In many respects, his personal appearance differed little from the many pictures and prints of him. His face had lost its swarthy appearance, which in the caricatures of that day obtained him the name, oh, look at that, the N-word, right? The N-word. That's what they were calling him. Charles Fox. British aide-de-camp Lord Rawdon says, with Washington at Valley Forge, Walter Bertram Foster, page 237, it says, British aide-de-camp Lord Rawdon, that swarthy, haughty nobleman, both hated and feared by all that came in contact with him, was quartered to Peter Reeves' house, all right? He was swarthy. We got this before British General Barnastry Tarleton. Washington, his country, being Irving's Life of Washington being abridged, page 381. This bold dragon, or dragoon, General Barnastry Tarleton, so noted in Southern warfare, was about 26 years of age, was of a swarthy complexion with small black piercing eyes. Okay? Continental Colonel Hugh Wine. Alright, again, the reference book is from Colonel Hugh Wine by Silas Weir Mitchell, page 125. It says here, we all rose as he drew near. My mother saying in my ear as he approached, now Hugh, it is Arthur Wynne. Now Hugh, take care. This newly found cousin was like all of us, Wynne family, tall, but not so broad as the other Wynnes. He was of a swarthy complexion. His hair was coarse, nappy, not fine, all right? This is just like all the Wynnes are saying, just like all of us, all the Wynne family. Memoirs, Thomas Hickey, Wethersfield Historical Society, chapter 6, page 30-32. Thomas Hickey has been described as a dark-complexioned man, of 5'6", well-set, an Irishman, and hitherto a deserter from the British Army. It says here, Continental General Anthony Wayne, Valley Forge, A Chronicle of Heroism, chapter 6, pages 31 and 32. There he is, at this moment riding up the hill from his quarters in the valley, a man of medium height and strong frame. He sits his horse well with a dashing air. His nose is prominent, his eye piercing, his complexion ruddy. He has in him the qualities of a great general, as he shall show many a time in his short life of 150 years, General Anthony Wayne. Because here, General Muhlenberg, Memoirs of Henry Armored Brown, together with 4 oracle orations, page 329. At the corner of the entrenchment by the river is the Virginia Brigade of Muhlenberg. Born at the trap close by and educated abroad, Muhlenberg was a clergyman in Virginia when the war came on, but he has doffed his parson's gown forever for the buff and blue of a brigadier. His stalwart form and his swarthy face Swarthy, are already as familiar to the enemy as they are to his own men, right? A black man. Who? General Muhlenberg, Benedict Arnold, Hugh Wine, the Free Quaker, page 385. Major Arnold is a dark man, and Jed Ruddy with a large nose. All right, so that brings us to the end of this presentation. Again, I just wanted to go over some of the screenshots of this book. Make sure to get the whole full book so you can get every page, the whole information, get every part, parts 1 through, I believe, 13. I believe there's I don't know how many parts. There's actually a lot of parts. You guys know more than me on this. I've been looking for all of them little by little to get them all. The physical copies. Make sure you have your physical copy and support Lee Cummins. Thank you for allowing us to read this and share this and build with the community and get this awareness out. Mr. Cummins, I want to thank everybody that came through tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's presentation. And again, it was just basically a recap of all our research the last couple of years. As you can see, we have somebody else giving us the exact same sources and information. We've never met or talked. I didn't even know he had all this information compiled in one book. It would have made it a lot easier for me in the last couple of years instead of going and looking for all these sources and compiling and putting it together. And, it was all in one book like this, but it's all happens for a reason. There's a time for everything. Things have to come out a certain way. And the time is now for everybody to wake up and realize, there's a bigger story here. It's not just black Indians. There's a deeper genealogy here when we talk about so-called Americans. And a real history here of these colored Europeans, these so-called black Europeans, the role they played when they got here, which was very, very important, and it is part of American history. Much love and respect. Take care. Hawa.
All right, we are at the end of the program, so I'm just gonna wrap it up. So let me close out here. So I don't know what to say other than believe what your own historical people are telling you. The weight of our ancestors is massive. The roots of our ancestors is deep. It is incumbent upon us in this present moment to grab the hand of our ancestors. They're waiting for us to do that. Fuck the white boy. He ain't shit, has never been shit. Get that motherfucker that's not paying rent to stay on your fucking brain to get it out. We have the right to vote. We have the right to do all of what this Constitution and our forefathers fought for. It wasn't until this white trash motherfucker came along and tried to cheat us out of everything. But that's over and done with. We have the right to vote. It just didn't come in 1960. Don't believe that shit. It is important to understand the past so you can know the present and predict the future. The future is bright than a motherfucker for black folk. It is dim and dead because the death certificate for white folk has been signed, sealed, and delivered. Who the fuck want to be white any motherfucking way? Whether 100 years ago, 2,000 years ago, who the fuck? They weren't doing shit. They were shitting and pissing on each other, as they always done. You don't believe me? Look it up. They're still pissing and shitting and having sex with each other. The president of France, Macron, is fucking his husband in the ass, and vice versa. Trump sucking dick. Supposedly. So everybody that's in the Epstein file, 600 plus in the Congress and in the Senate. White boy. You thought that the Diddy party was rough. You ain't seen shit with these white boys. They dress like in Greece. Hold on. Just like they did in Greece and Rome. Fuck buddy. Looking and sucking on each other. I mean, come on, man. We can't do this shit no more with these motherfuckers. We really can't. They don't have the substance, the integrity, the character, the anything else that need to be done and need to be have in order to run shit. They run shit always in the ground. The video I showed called Man showed the white boy just fucking up everything. Because they're a bunch of fuck ups. Running shit into, how in the fuck do you get $38 trillion in debt? And still $20 trillion when the so-called plane and no motherfucking plane hit the Pentagon? Among other things. Because they stealing. And the only man, woman, people that can put this earth, this world we live in, on a myopic scale and tilt the injustice to justice, to tilt the bad to good, is the black man and woman. The white boy done. We won and finished, crossed the finish line. Black people have. And woe be unto your motherfucking ass, white boy, white girl. The gig is up. The facts are out. The truth always prevails over the lie. And to be honest with you, fuck all white folk. So that's the end of the program. I really appreciate you guys being here, and God knows it's over. We will be back in power every day that goes by, little by little, until we strangle the shit out this motherfucking white boy and girl. Because that's all they really do. They don't do shit. They don't do shit. And so for the next 24/7, 365, stay black.